Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with Traders Summit, and with me today I have Dick Matthews from Pardus FX, and he's going to give us a quick overview on the currency markets and how he's seeing things ahead of the Fed and ahead of the US GDP numbers this week. What's going on, Mr. Matthews? How are you?
I'm pretty good. It's cooled down over here. It's normal summer weather, which means I should have a jumper on. But it's certainly cooled down from last week's heat wave. Yeah, pretty good. I think the markets are quite ahead of the Fed, understandably. Still recovering a little bit from the shock of the ECB doing something, raising their rates. Question is now, how quickly will they drop them? Will they beat their previous record of 3 months and drop them before September?
Well, let's talk a little bit about the ECB. And so what do you make of the price action? So, you know, the ECB did raise rates by 0.5%, and that was, I think a lot of people were a little stunned. But, you know, there's talk about anti-fragmentation. How are you making it out? And should we be a Euro bull from here? I mean, I know you just said, are they going to beat the record on keeping rates at these levels before they have to cut them? It sounds like you're a non-believer, but
yeah, well, I'm a non-believer in the euro, full stop. I just think it's a pile of poo, and I have done since inception. Yeah, it did catch the market a little bit on the hop, but I wouldn't say the euro went to the moon on the back of that. And it's not really trading any better now than it did before they moved their rates. The anti-fragmentation thing is really quite interesting because, as always with Europe and obviously the euro, there's a lot of fudge involved. So they can make that fit who they want to make it fit. If they want to do something, they can do something. I think that they're going to have a problem with this, certainly with Italy. When Draghi goes, you've got the elections on September the 25th. Why would you buy Italian bonds? It just seems ridiculous. I'd always buy Germany over Italy, and you're going to have this constant pressure, which leads to pressure on the euro. I'm not sure that their anti-fragmentation tool will fit. I think it's just a normal fudge. And interestingly, Lagarde wasn't exactly wholehearted on it. Draghi may have been able to sell it, but I just don't think Lagarde managed to sell it at all. So, to me, I'm still a seller of the euro. I think this week you're going to see the Fed do 75, and I think Powell's going to come out fighting, and he's going to be hawkish. A lot of people are expecting, that starting maybe thinking that the States is tipping into recession. I don't think he cares about that. I think that he cares about getting inflation out of the system. And I read a really interesting article over the weekend on the premise that we are in extraordinary times that none of us have seen before. I've been around since God was a lad. I ain't seen anything like this. And that we've had a pandemic, and that's through absolutely the world stopped, the supply chain stopped, and we came out of that, and then we get in war in Europe. So supply chains are screwed up the game. How can you look at GDP and read anything into that with these two huge shocks, which no one really knows what they should do to the markets? But one thing that you do know is that inflation's getting out of control. And that's the one thing that they can act on. So I think Powell will come out fighting.
Well, can you make that argument for the ECB, that the ECB also needs to continue to raise rates at a faster pace to fight inflation in the Eurozone?
Yeah, I do. And I'm old enough to remember inflation getting out of control, firstly in the 70s and in the 80s. There's an article in the Sunday Times yesterday in London talking about inflation hitting 15% in the UK. Now, that is a serious number. And, you're going to have to get interest rates up here at 7 or 8% to do that. And if it destroys the economy, then it destroys the economy. It happened in the 70s and it's happened in the 80s. And people say, oh, no, we can get away. We can control inflation with 1 3/4%. You ain't going to do it.
Yeah.
So to me, that's why. And I think Powell is probably the only central banker who gets it.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about your home country, and let's talk about the sterling a little bit. I mean, ECB, the Bank of England is going to have to fight inflation, especially if as you're saying, if inflation does get up to 15%, which would be staggering, of course. But doing it in the face of a political shift, if you will. What do you make of the political environment in the UK right now? Who's leading as to be a possible prime minister, and where's your bet lie on the sterling? I mean, do you buy the cable? Do you sell the euro sterling and buy cable that way? Do you buy the cable as the pound dollar, or are you a seller of sterling? What do you do?
Two questions. First off, I think two questions which I'll answer. First off, I think Truss will win. I think the average guy in the street, Conservative member, and it's only 100,000 people get to vote on this, which is unbelievable in a way.
That is very much so.
And I think the average member dislikes Sunak, dislikes what he's perceived to have done to Johnson, whether his timing was interesting or not. He did have his website ready to go in December, which I think is quite amusing. I think Truss will win. I don't think she's a great performer. I think she's very wooden in front of the cameras, but she has achieved and she has delivered some trade deals and some decent trade deals. She's talking tough on inflation. And I think the bank's independent, so politicians shouldn't influence the bank. But,
of course they are.
Of course they are. And of course, it does influence. I only found out last week the only reason the Bank of England's independent was to get us ready to join the euro. That it was something which Tony Blair had to do, and it's one of the tick boxes. The central bank has to be independent. But I only found out last week. Anyway, so it's independent. She's talking raising rates, and I think that Bailey will have to do something. And he's prevaricating. He's getting crucified in the press over here, and not just the financial press, just full stop for being slow and letting it rip. So I think Truss will win. I think Bailey will be forced to act, but he won't do enough. I think inflation will continue to mount. As I have been saying for months and months and months, $5 wear diamonds, which I'd carry on doing. I'd sell sterling against the dollar, and I'm pretty neutral against the euro. All I know is I'm going to Euroland in September, and with my wife's spending habits, I would certainly be selling sterling and buying euros.
Well, that's one way to think of it. As a trader here at Trader Summit, we'll be buying the euro sterling, but also following the FOMC, it sounds like you are a buyer of dollars, so you're going to be selling the sterling dollar. So. Yeah. Any cable levels that we should be looking at?
I think it's hitting its head up. Where are we trading now? 120.40 something.
Yep.
I think it's going to hit its head up there. I think people are book swaying ahead of the FOMC. I could see it slipping down maybe 116, something like that, over the next few weeks. Interestingly though, how do you view it over there politically in the UK? Or is it just not making headlines?
Viewing what? I'm sorry?
How are you viewing the politics in the UK from an American point of view?
It's not really making the headlines over here. So most of the US-based traders aren't really focused on it. But, I'll say this just because I have UK traders in our community at Forex Analytics personally. That most traders are leaning more bearish. You're seeing these little probes higher, but there are outperformers versus the dollar, and the sterling isn't one of them. You'd be looking at maybe more of the Aussie and the Kiwi versus the dollar versus the sterling. But it's doing a little bit better today. But I'm with you. I'd probably look for rallies to sell into. So
yeah. I think the bottom line is, out of all the central bankers, my money be on Jay Powell.
Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense, and I think that's what a lot of people are looking at, as long as the euro remains below 103.50. So
yeah.
Well,
nice, Mr. Putin's still going to turn the gas off, and he's just having a whale of a time, that man.
Oh, I'm sure he's going to be holding that. He's going to be holding that card close to his vest going into this fall. I am sure.
Yeah. Well, it'll all come out in the wash one day. When I'm very, very old, you'll be picking up newspapers and seeing that Mrs. Merkel was a Russian spy for all those years. That's why Germany's got tied so close to them. And they all laughed at Trump. That's what makes me amused. All the German politicians laughed at Trump over their energy policy. It's just, I'm no lover of Trump, but He did get that point right.
He did. Well, Dick, I want to thank you for spending your time with us. And how do traders find out more about Pardus FX?
To go onto our website, which is pardusfx.com, or they can call me or contact me on my email, which I guess is on your website as well.
It is. All right. Well, thank you so much for spending your time with us, Dick. And I'll look forward to next week. We're gonna kind of see where we're at and see where the FX market might take us throughout the course of the week. So thanks again.
Cool. Cheers now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hey traders, Blake Morrow here. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also click the bell notifications so you do not miss any of our market-related trading analysis from some of the leading industry experts. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you in the next video.